Hello, it is Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project. Today, I'm going to talk about 3 mistakes that a lot of people make when they're starting their first Amazon affiliate site, or maybe they just don't have as much experience in general. These mistakes are quite common, and thank you, folks, for coming on live. Ranit is here. What's up? And just give me a shout in the chat. Say hello. Let me know where you're from. Always interested to see where everyone is from. And hopefully you could hear me. It does seem like people can hear me. So today I'm going to go over 3 mistakes that new Amazon affiliates often make and how to avoid them. Of course, that is the important part, how to avoid these mistakes. Couple announcements. Basically, the course is open. 5-figure niche site is open for enrollment. It only opens for enrollment a few times a year. So you should check it out if you're interested. And there's a link in the description, or you can find it at 5figurenichesite.com. You'll be able to get all the information there. There are 3 different packages, and it's, a great course if you're interested in it. So, and we have the Furman and Yath as well. Thanks, folks, for hopping on. So I'm going to get into it pretty quickly here so I can hit the material. So just making sure we got a handful of people on. And funny thing with the notifications, I'm figuring out that, well, people don't instantly check their emails all the way. And sometimes the emails go out a little bit later, I hear. Sometimes they are right on time. Other times they are 30 minutes later. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So sometimes there's an influx later. Ravi is on and Don is on also. Good to have you on. So the first big mistake that people have is they don't know what to work on. And one of the most frustrating things that could happen is you sit down to your computer and you're ready to work. Everyone has limited time, right? You have limited time and you sit down and then you're not sure what to work on. You know you want to work on your niche site, but you're not sure which area to spend time on. Now, part of it is, there's just so much information out there, and I'm guilty of it too, putting out so much useful information out there, and basically it's overwhelming and it's hard to know what to actually work on because you have 1,000 different options on what you can work on. So it becomes overwhelming, right? You have a common term is, analysis paralysis. You're just confused. And for the sake of argument, let's say you have about 5 hours a week to work on your niche site. By the way, that's what I do recommend for 5-figure niche site. If you have, if you have an hour per day, that's great. But if you can, weekends, maybe you're not able to get an hour in, maybe you work only on weekends, but roughly 5 hours a week. That's just 1 hour a day. Now, that's a lot of time, but most people can carve out about an hour to work on, certain things. And basically that leaves you just with a couple hours to do your real work. If you are, confused on what to work on. So the last thing that you want to do is to sit down and have to read 5 blog posts to figure out what to work on, or maybe listen to a podcast or watch YouTube videos. One of the downsides with YouTube is they keep showing you more and more videos. They know what you want to watch. They know what you're interested in. And, before you know it, you're accidentally, watching, television clips from The Office or something. That happened to me earlier this week, because it's a good show and YouTube knows that I like The Office, and I'm a sucker if they, have a video. So it's frustrating, first of all, if you don't know what to work on, it's annoying and you don't work very effectively. And if you want to create a successful niche site, you do need to know exactly what to work on, especially when your time is limited. And, newsflash, everyone's time is in fact limited. Most of us have full-time jobs, families, other obligations, hobbies, and whatever, most people don't have just like extra free time. So you need to be very clear about what you're going to work on. And when I worked with, say, Rob Atkinson or some of my, other private coaching students, I was able to say, like, hey, you need to focus on, this specific work. In Rob's case, a lot of that, if you refer to the coaching videos, was around, spending time on templates, spend less time on like trying to hire and train people and reproduce the same results by using templates and not having to do the same work over and over again. And Nick's on. I see Alwayne's on as well. Ranjan is on. Awesome. Going over 3 common mistakes that people make. So basically, if you're able to remove the noise, if you're able to really understand what you're going to work on before you sit down at your desk, it makes the time that you're sitting there way more effective. So instead of, let's say you have 1 hour a day, instead of spending 30 or 40 minutes trying to figure out what to work on, and then you only have like 15 minutes to try and do that work, you're sitting down with a plan already and you know what to work on. Now, the solution for this is to know the process for creating a niche site. Now, I know we don't understand that right away until we've done it before, but if you can sit down with a process in hand, you know what to work on when you start, or maybe you have like a weekly plan, then you're going to be able to make progress, as you go, right? So each day you can spend, most of the time that you have allotted to work on it. Now, there are some gotchas, and I'll tell you right away that I ended up making these mistakes. So this is one of the reasons why I know that a few things don't matter, even though some sources out there may say they matter a lot. So finding the perfect WordPress theme. It doesn't matter that much. If you pick a theme that is clean and easy to use, that'll be fine. Your domain name. I spent weeks trying to figure out domain names, and I probably should have just picked one and moved forward. Like, the domain name didn't make the site. It's a component. You can mess up on the domain name, but most domain names are probably going to be okay. Additionally, some people are like, well, I want to get the logo right, and I want to make sure the header is perfect, and I want it to look good before I launch. Another thing that you could end up wasting a lot of time on. And, for me, a lot of times I just want a plain logo with, Arial font and just nothing, or pick any like web friendly font and you're good to go. And then another thing is like design and colors and all the extra things where, we're probably, unless you're like a designer or you have a background in graphics or something like that, like, we're not expert designers. And if you try to make things perfect, you're going to basically waste time. So trying to find anything that's perfect or making your site perfect is kind of a form of procrastination and should be avoided. It's better to be, shippable and good enough. Like, this is passable. I can improve it later. Once you can do that, you're in good shape. And the other thing that I'll mention is like, it's really best to pick, a model, a plan, and follow one person that you trust, you think they're good, and then you can, follow through until reach the end of their process. And then you could like study another process and bring the good parts from the processes together, and then you're able to combine ideas and end up with something better than the sum of the parts, right? That's sort of the ultimate. But the problem is, a lot of people will go to, I'll just use real examples, and I'll mention, I see the Furman asks a question. I'll come to the question in just a moment. Basically, like, if you say follow Authority Hacker, and then you follow me, you follow Niche Pursuits, and you follow Cloud Living, and you try and do little pieces of each like implementation, and you don't understand the process yet, you may be picking the sort of least successful pieces from each part, or maybe, you know, things directly contradict each other in the process, and then you end up not understanding why it didn't work. I mean, this is you know, a complicated, long endeavor, right? It's going to take some time. It's going to be a little difficult. Now, each one of the individual steps, they are not hard, but putting together a string of, you know, 100 steps in a row in the right order and doing each one right, well, that is difficult to do all the steps you need to do. But each individual step is actually pretty simple. You can finish it fairly quickly. Okay. Am I live later with Alex? No, I don't think so. I haven't talked to him about going live. So the answer to that is no. I have some other stuff that I'm working on today. If he happened to ping me just at the right time, I may be able to join in for a bit, but wasn't planning on it. And we have Mithun from Bangladesh. Cool. And then Oscar says you've turned off phone notifications. That helps me as well. Nick mentions having an awesome theme at one point, but it made your site slow, so you switch back to a simple theme and have better results. Yep. Simplicity is usually like favored. Usually if you have, you know, a great theme with tons of options, it's going to be more complicated. I hate complicated stuff, and generally, not always, but generally the less complicated the process or idea, the easier it is to not make mistakes. And if you can do something, it is to not make mistakes. Martins G, what's up? Good to have you on. Mithun says, is it wise to select smartphones because smartphone is always moving? Please answer me. Mithun, that is totally up to you. I personally would prefer something that is not so fluid and dynamic. New phones come out all the time, so that means you're going to have to update the content all the time. Additionally, it's a profitable niche, right? So it could be more competitive. The thing is, I've never done keyword research in the smartphone niche, so I'm not sure. I recommend you do keyword research, and if it looks good to you, then go for it. So I'm going to summarize the first one. So number one, not knowing what to work on is the number one mistake people make. And if you can just find a process from someone that you trust, that is probably the best way to go, because you'll be able to, you know, sort of follow a specific plan, and that is quite useful. Next, the mistake number two, and this plays right into what you're talking about, Mithun, picking a poor niche. So let's say you have the perfect list of all the tasks that you need to complete for a niche site, right? By the way, if you don't have that, if you sign up for my email list, nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, there's actually a task list of all the steps divided into phases. I'm a project manager, if you didn't know, and I basically use the project management framework to divide things up. So it's a little easier to follow. So let's say you have the perfect list of all the tasks you have to do. And one of those tasks is to pick a niche. And you probably heard before that getting the right niche and picking the right keywords are critical. And that is a key step. It happens early, and it's hard to tell if you are going to, get that right if you've never done it before. There's a lot of niches out there, and I picked the wrong niche several times before I found the right niche. And the thing is, you just don't know what you don't know. I think it goes for beginners and actually goes for advanced folks. And there are portions of like things that you don't know because you haven't experienced it yet. So if you haven't picked the right niche, if you haven't had a profitable niche site, then you won't know exactly. And by the way, the advice is right. It's very critical to pick the right niche and the right set of keywords. You do need to have a great set of keywords if you want the site to be extremely successful. And we're talking, valued in the, high 5 figures to high 6 figures range, or mid 6 figure range. Now, most sites have a valuation of, roughly on the very low end, 20 times the monthly profits or up to, mid to high 30s in the monthly profits. It depends on a variety of factors, but basically, if you have a site that's making about $500 a month consistently, you should be able to sell it for $10,000 at a minimum, and potentially up to 18,000 or something like that. It depends again on a variety of factors. Now, imagine you pick a niche that's not profitable. That would be bad. When we look at the task list and you see all the work that you would have to do just to launch a site, it's kind of a bummer if you pick a bad niche, and that's, one of the early steps in the process. Everything else is sort of dependent on that. So once you do some keyword research, you can evaluate the competition in the niches and then sort of figure out if it's profitable. If you pick the wrong niche, then here's what happens. You do the keyword research, you pick a niche, you create the site, you publish content, you get backlinks, and people visit your site, but people don't buy anything, right? This actually describes exactly what happened to me for my first few sites. So I know from firsthand experience, I, was able to learn a lot, right? It wasn't a total waste, but I learned, the number one thing is to pick a profitable niche. Profitable keywords are important. The other thing is, I learned other skills, working with the themes, working with plugins, working with WordPress in general, hosting, domains, all that stuff. I learned some of the foundational skills that are very important. But the fact is, people went to the site, hundreds of people per day, by the way. I think I was getting 200 to 300 visitors per day for months on end, but no one really bought anything. And the result is you feel sad because you worked hard and you didn't get any satisfaction of actually making money, right? Of having a profitable niche site. And it happens. Not all niches are going to be profitable. And like I said, I've picked a couple poor ones in the past, and sometimes it's hard to tell. And I thought I found like a great set of keywords when it happened to me. There were thousands of searches per month. And the kicker was that no other niche sites were even targeting the term. So I thought I found something like a hidden gem, right? I found something that other people aren't looking at. Other people don't seem to be going after it. So I should be able to like get in there and dominate the niche, right? I did find, some other signs which made me think maybe it is profitable. I found like a couple forums on the topic. They seemed kind of active. There was some content, but they weren't, really targeting it, weren't really competitive. And, what happened was I ended up getting, doing the steps that I mentioned. I got links, I got traffic, I got hundreds of visitors a day. And basically no one was buying anything because it wasn't a buyer's, niche. It wasn't a buyer's keyword. So I made a few bucks or so, maybe per day, I think, from AdSense, but it was really nothing significant. And, I set out to, create a big niche site, but it just wasn't working out. So the main problems were the, people run into. So the main problems would be like not enough people searching for the term in the niche. So there's just not enough potential for even people searching for it. Another issue could be the competition is too tough. So sort of the opposite of what I talked about. Some niches just have tons of sites, a lot of, established sites that have been around for a while. And it's hard to compete because a lot of those sites that have been around for a while, they continue to reinvest and they get better and better over time. The other part is around products just not being expensive enough in a niche. So your affiliate commissions could be low. And that's just a factor of, the cost of the products. So, if you're going after like pencils or something, pencils and erasers, it's just, they're not expensive enough. So even if you sell a lot of them, making 4% or 6% on it is not going to be a lot. And then the other one is like targeting a product that people don't buy online normally. So there's so much information out there about keyword research. Some of it's old, I could be guilty of this too, just through, old blog posts, old videos there's old information out there. And at this point, it's like you need to study like the more current stuff. The keyword golden ratio is, a huge thing that I bring into, this world, and it's sort of catching on, sort of interesting. I see some questions coming through, and I'll come back to those after I finish this second point. So as far as like things that people don't buy too often, and I can give you a real example, washers and dryers and like refrigerators on Amazon. So they could be very expensive, but do you know anyone who's purchased one of those huge products online before from Amazon? I don't either. Most people end up going to like a big box store like Home Depot or Lowe's or some other, store, and they buy it there. They kind of want to like look and see what these appliances look like. They want to open the doors. They want to, open the refrigerator and freezer. They want to, look at the washers and dryers and basically see what they look like. A lot of times those companies have free delivery, so it's not a factor anyway. They have I can walk to a Home Depot. They have like a warehouse right there. So, it's very simple for them to deliver it to me for free. And, the keyword research is really at the root of picking a right niche. And if you get that wrong, you're probably going to have a hard time. So the solution to this is to use proven metrics for your keyword research, and, make sure you understand how to do competition analysis, and make sure that you understand like why you would pick a niche over other niches. And if you can, quantitatively look at, the competition, you can have a much better understanding on, how to pick a better niche. And I'm going to just quickly scroll through and see if there are any questions directly related to what I just mentioned. And if not, I'll save them for the end. So I'll save them for the end. It doesn't look like anything's related. Third mistake that people make is just not knowing how to get traffic. So even if you pick the right niche and you understand all the steps, you still have to get traffic. And even if you have the best content in the world, if no one's reading it, doesn't matter. And if you have traffic and you have a profitable niche where, people are actually purchasing it, you have buyers, keywords, then your site can make money. So if you can basically find products that people are buying, there's enough people searching for them. If you write reviews and recommend certain products, you get people a link to Amazon, you can make money. And if you can just get them over to Amazon, Amazon converts really, really well. The conversion rates are much higher than other affiliate programs. So even if like you're not getting as high of a commission rate from Amazon, people buy so much stuff there and so much additional stuff on top of what you are recommending that it works out fine. So in general, I just stick with Amazon versus other affiliate programs. Now, basically, if you can get people to Amazon, then they do the job there. So the thing with traffic is you generally need to get links. Now, if you are using the keyword golden ratio, I see a couple questions on that, by the way. If you're using the keyword golden ratio, the links are less important. However, if you really want to like have a very profitable site and make more money, you do need to build some links. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I keep it fairly simple. Basically, Google has like 200 plus factors that figure into the algorithm for rankings. And links are probably, arguably, the most important thing you can get. So there are many other factors. We don't know all the factors. We don't know the ratio of importance or priority that certain factors are given, but links are super important. In fact, that's why SEO agencies and link building companies exist. And, it's for sure probably tens of millions of dollars, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on SEO and link building activities. So for our model, if you're watching this, you probably want to get traffic from Google. You want to get, free organic traffic where people are searching for buyer's terms, right? And the biggest mistake that people make is they are using old, out of date techniques. Now, back in the day before I started online, which was in 2013, you used to be able to like build a website, stuff it with keywords, and buy some links from, I'm not sure exactly where back then, but probably some forums. You could buy links and then you would rank pretty quickly. This was probably about 10 years ago or so. And I got my start from Smart Passive Income. I learned from Pat Flynn. I listened to a ton of the episodes of the podcast, watched a lot of his videos, and read his blog. I consumed everything that he was putting out. And Pat Flynn basically started with niche sites. He had some other stuff going on, but if you're unfamiliar, he gained a huge following through public case studies and different case studies on niche sites where he would go through and show people like how to build these sites. Now, funny thing is, Pat Flynn now is a successful, business person and entrepreneur. He's on the speaking circuit and that sort of thing. But he started just like us. So he was a gray hat niche site guy. And if you go back, I think it's still on his blog. He talks about using a link wheel. He talks about using Build My Rank and article spinners. He talks about using article spinners. And if you're unfamiliar with Build My Rank, it was like a network that was penalized and de-indexed in 2012. And an article spinner basically goes out and pulls, content from the web and uses like a fancy AI driven thesaurus and puts together an article that's gibberish and it's kind of garbage, right? And it's crazy that Pat Flynn was recommending that, but this was back in like 2011-ish, 2012. Now, the thing is, that is one of Pat's most popular posts. If you look historically back at, traffic, and this was in the 2010, 2012 period, it's called the backlinking strategy that works. And I read it in 2013 when I got started. But the problem is it was already old when I read it. And if you do those things that Pat Flynn recommended back in the day, it'll get you penalized quickly. It is very spammy stuff. The other mistake that people end up making is you will end up not always, but you hear about people saying, just publish good content and people will just find you because you're publishing good content. The thing is, it's a different time now. There is so much content being published on blogs. There's content on social media. So there's Pinterest and Instagram. Content is coming out so fast. And then YouTube videos, right? I don't know the current stat, but there's some alarming amount of video content coming out each second because we can, do live streams like this. People are putting out as much as they can. And just because you're putting out great content doesn't mean people will find it. I know that Income School guys, Jim and Ricky, I'm friendly with them. Those are good guys. They will say that, if you just publish good content, people will find your stuff. And I challenge that. I think it is possible. I think it's great to leave out the whole link building part. But it turns out if you want to have a 5-figure niche site or make 5 figures a month or just have a highly valuable site, you're going to have to do the extra stuff. And that is link building. So if you think that you're just going to be able to publish stuff and people will find it, you're going to have to dig a little deeper or wait a little longer, right? So if you could wait for 1 to 2 years, you may start getting a little more traffic. But if you just do a little link building, then you'll do better. Now, if you do realize that you need to do some link building, the issue there comes back to our first point where there are so many things that you can do with link building. And there are so many people giving advice. A lot of times that advice is the foundation for them to sell a service, like say social sharing or something like that. And people will tell you how important it is. They'll show you like a one-off case study, and then they're trying to sell you like, Facebook shares or Facebook likes or Pinterest pins or whatever, right? So the idea here is you must focus on stuff that actually works, that actually help you get traffic. So if it's anything free, if it's anything super cheap or super easy, it's probably not going to work. Basically, the harder or more expensive or the more time consuming something takes, the better it's going to work. And if you are unsure, right, what to work on, and you look at the body of knowledge around building links, you will probably be confused. You will probably not know what to work on, and you may, latch onto some piece. Let's say there's one that I heard about is there's a tool called If This Then That, and basically it is a you could set a trigger on something happening, like publishing a blog post, and then you can take some action based on the trigger. It's a very powerful tool, very interesting for certain applications. One of these applications is to like build links via a trigger. When you publish a blog post, it would maybe share it to a bunch of social media channels, and then maybe it'll publish it on Web 2.0 blogs or something like that. And a lot of things are happening, but can you actually rank a site by using some strategy like that? Probably not. It's probably not going to work. All that stuff is basically free. You could set this up inexpensively, and basically, if there's something you could do for free or cheap or it's easy, probably not going to work. Same thing for like buying links from Fiverr. I get this question probably once a day or so. I see someone is offering guest posts for cheap over on Fiverr. Do you think it's a good deal? Probably not, right? If everyone can go over to Fiverr and buy it, if it is working, it will quickly not work once a bunch of people are doing it, because there's no real value that's being added. It's just someone who's, selling links essentially. So I'm going to get to the point here. The solution for getting traffic is don't try and take shortcuts. Don't follow old tactics. Make sure you're learning from, people that know what they're doing. They know how to get traffic. They have a track record of, traffic and getting the right kind of traffic. Don't buy links. That's going to probably get you into trouble. My recommendation is to, follow a white hat strategy. It's less risky. If you're more interested in PBNs, private blog networks, and buying links, it's a viable strategy. Not my thing, right? I have more time. I am fairly risk averse. I don't want to spend, 150 or 1,000 hours on a project that could like explode and go away in an instant. I don't want to do that. So I do recommend less risk and patience. So if you are trying to network within your niche, that's a good thing. You probably can make some friends, maybe get some guest posts. That is my recommendation. And if you are taking a gray hat route, if you're using PBNs or other strategies, make sure you're following someone who knows what they're doing. Make sure you understand the risks and how to avoid, issues that you may run into. So I'm going to quickly summarize the 3 points, and then I'm going to go over to the questions over there. So basically, number one is not knowing what to work on. The solution to that is to find somebody you like, who knows what they're talking about, follow their process. Don't try and piecemeal a process together by following like multiple people. Unless you're an expert, you've already done this, then you can sort of pick and choose what you want to work on, because your experience could tell you what you need to work on. The second part is picking the wrong niche. If you pick the wrong niche and you do everything else right, you're still not going to make any money. So pick the wrong niche, you're in trouble. Understand how to do competition analysis. That can give you an idea of, profitability. It can let you know if there's too much competition, stuff like that. And then the third mistake is not knowing how to get traffic. I see this a lot with people that buy pre-made sites. They buy the site. They're told the site has the potential to make $3,000 a month. But there's a lot of assumptions that go into that number. I don't buy those numbers, by the way. And a lot of people that buy a pre-made site, they don't know how to get traffic. And the key is to work on the right things that could get you ranked in Google, and then you'll be able to get traffic. So I am going to look at the questions here. Thanks everyone for joining. It looks like we have a handful of folks. If you found this interesting or useful, please click the thumbs up, the like. It does help other people find it, and I would appreciate it. So particularly if I answer your question, please hit the thumbs up. So Martin says, what if you found a keyword golden ratio with 1,000 searches, but you don't like the topic and it's not directed to your niche? Then skip it. So if it's not related, and yeah, don't publish it. Mitt Hun says, do I follow the keyword golden ratio always? No, I don't. Jonathan says, your site has been working out pretty good. You're making 55,000 a month or so. Seriously, that's crazy. You managed to get on top of the game. Jonathan, that's amazing if you're making that much. Fantastic. That's, yeah, really amazing. Congratulations. Jesters, what's up? Good to have you on. Al Wayne, a profitable niche is a blessing. Jonathan says, do I have any tips for high to mid business? Unsure. Can you be more specific? And then you say, how can you get a lot of traffic? There's a few things. I would say if you're making 55,000 a month, then I would recommend that you invest in more content and more links. Those are kind of the two things you can invest in. So I would say sink a lot back into it. How much traffic are you getting? I would imagine if you're making 55,000 a month, then you already have, tens of thousands of visitors a day. I would guess. Lachey says you've gotten a few sales, you're getting clicks on your affiliate links, but not many sales. Is it that you need more content, or could it be the wrong niche? It's probably the type of visitors that are showing up. So if you don't have, the right buyers keywords, or it's ranking for people that are not far enough down the sales funnel, that could be the issue. It could be the amount of traffic as well. So if you only have 10 articles, then you probably need more content and more traffic. Oscar says, do I use any PPC methods to launch a site? No. Do I think it helps organic search? No, I don't. I've never tried it I've tried it once or twice, about 2 years ago. It didn't seem to help. And basically everyone that asks me about it says that they've tried it, and it doesn't work. So I don't think it works. And if it were that easy, I think more people would do it. So Martin says, will synonyms like top 100 rank also for best? I don't know. I think in general, probably not. Martin says, the funny thing about article spinners, if you're building Web 2.0s and take the same niche website in another language and translate it to English, edit, and so it's okay, and Google won't penalize you. Huh, interesting. Theo, what's up? Good to have you on. Alwayne, how do you do white hat link building? Most people are afraid of getting penalized. Basically, it's very simple. Do blog commenting, network, and then ask to do a guest post. So pretty straightforward. If you're afraid of getting penalized, then I'm not sure why. If you're afraid of getting penalized, then I recommend you maybe study the material more. You really shouldn't have an issue. If you're afraid of getting penalized at all, ever, you potentially should look for another entrepreneur type thing. So if you're relying on your traffic from Google, you have to accept that risk. And if you're relying on an affiliate program, You have to accept the risk. So there's a lot that you don't control. And if you're scared, you should probably look for something else to do. Martin says, check out Niche Site Project. There's basically a guest posting, and yeah, there's a whole plan now. Barry asks, how many words per article do I recommend? As many as it takes. At a minimum, I would say 1,000 words, but it can be very, 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 very long. Kevin says, you're new. Welcome. Thanks for hopping on. You have tons of questions. How do you do research if your niche is going to be profitable and you know there are a ton of websites out there, but what is best? So the easiest thing that I could recommend is to look to see if there are other sites out there. So if there are other niche sites out there that are ranked highly in the set of keywords that you found for the niche, you have a pretty good set of data that is telling you it's profitable because there's other sites out there. So that is probably the best way to tell. Lance, good to have you on. You just got the notification. Yep, I'm learning the notifications come out a little slow sometimes. So Abdullah says, how much content? Okay, so if it's possible, it's really good to have the questions around the content today, but I'll answer everything. Quick reminder, on Friday, I do general Q&A, so you could ask all sorts of random stuff. I did hit random stuff today, so no worries there. Carl, what's up? Lance says, when you add a ton of content a few months back, am I starting to see results? Yeah. Whenever you add more content, it seems to be helpful. Abdullah is asking about the content editor for 1,000 to 1,500 words, about $10 or so. Chuck Warren says, using the keyword golden ratio where blog comments alone get me to page 1 of Google. It depends, but it's definitely possible. Sometimes you don't even need blog comments, and you should try to be okay with link building. A lot of people try to not do link building, and there's a whole school of thought or a whole group of people that are following Income School, and there's a big, people don't like building links. So if you can building links and be okay with it, you're going to do much better than people that don't. You'll crush the people that are not building links, basically. But Chuck, yeah, if you just do blog comments, I've heard many people say they've ranked it with no blog comments, or they've only done blog comments. Martin says, if I tried an email list, yeah, I love email lists. You heard it's an amazing tool to make money and get visitors back. Here's the problem most people do. If you don't know what you're doing with building an email list, or you don't have much traffic on your site, and then you start trying to build an email list, you'll basically end up wasting your time, because if no one's going to your site, you're just kind of diluting your efforts, and you should focus on just getting traffic. I would say if you don't have 500 to 1,000 visitors per day, you probably shouldn't worry about it. If you're trying to get people to go to Amazon to buy something, focus on that. You don't want to have too many things going on your page, basically. So if you have an email opt-in, but you really want people to click on Amazon, you're kind of diluting your efforts. Martin says, only one long or short tail keyword per article, or can you go for more? Well, you need to figure out what you want to do. So if you're doing keyword golden ratio content, then you probably should just publish one keyword. And I see Jonathan says, can you answer your question? Jonathan, I think I did. Do you want to put it in again here? I think I answered your 2 questions. You say you're making $55,000 a month. And do I have any tips? What kind of tips are you looking for? And then you say, how can you get a lot of traffic? And I think if you're making $55,000 a month, you probably already have a lot of traffic. So you want to clarify your questions. Carl says, if you boost a blog that's on page 2, by adding another 1,000 words, how long would you expect it to rank higher? It depends. I would say, yeah, I think you're right for me in UK. I'll be patient here for a second and then deal with it. So as far as boost a blog, how long would it take? It depends. So it could be as soon as like a couple weeks, or usually I'll wait a couple months. So usually I'll wait like 2 to 3 months, something like that, and then sort of make an assessment. And John Jonathan is saying you mean 5,000 a month. You need to help for WordPress themes. Um, the theme doesn't matter, Jonathan. So if you're making 5K a month, you should have a pretty good handle on what's going on. So if you want to clarify your question, you can, but um, all right. Sorry about your broken English. All right. I'll have the benefit of the doubt for you. And okay. Joan says, what can cause low conversion rates? You made sure you added the links throughout the articles. Oftentimes, the number of links through your articles is not the issue. You need to make sure you have the right kind of traffic. Buyers, keywords are essential. And then you may be going after buyers' keywords, but other keywords could bring in traffic. So you should figure out like what the issue is. It's almost never the number of links on the page. In fact, if you have too many links, if it's too pushy, then I would say, skip it. FM Scout is mentioning that it looks like notifications are not working. Okay. Yeah, I've heard other people talk about that too. I don't think there's really much I could do about it other than not do anything. Okay. And by the way, FM Scout, I remember I saw an email. I haven't caught up on emails. So I'll get back to you for sure this morning. Kevin says, what are the best tools to invest in with building a site? In my opinion, WooCommerce. I think WooCommerce, just to be clear, I think WooCommerce is a total waste of time. I don't think that's a great way to build a site. I know that does contradict what Alex, my friend over at WP Eagle, great guy. We're buddies and everything. That's his area of expertise. I don't know anything about WooCommerce, so that's why I think it's a waste of time. Successful sites that I've seen generally never have WooCommerce at all. So as far as tools, you need a keyword research tool, you need solid hosting, and you need potentially, a premium theme. As far as the theme, and I see Jonathan is asking questions. Jonathan, the theme doesn't matter. So just use a clean theme that you know how to use. So Kevin, in summary, you need a keyword research tool. You maybe need a premium theme. It should be under $100. Pick one you like. It doesn't really matter. And then you may need a plugin or two based on what you're like interested in. There's some that help you with the Amazon affiliate program, but they're not essential. Lance says, are infographics and gestographics good to use? You could use those to drive Pinterest. Okay, so cool. I think they are good to use, that you can get some links, and yeah, you can put them on Pinterest as well. Jonathan, what's the best niche site strategy for advertisements? I'm not sure. I don't really play in that area. Wyoming is asking about the 3 mistakes. So I'll come back to that. I'm just going to scroll through. Okay. So I'm just making sure everything's cool here. The mistakes that people make, they don't know what to work on. And if you just pick someone who's ahead of you, who understands the process. Pick one person, follow their process. That is probably the best way to deal with it. The second mistake is picking the wrong niche. So I do see this quite often. Some people niche down too narrow. Some people go to niches that aren't profitable at all. So if you make sure that it's profitable, probably the best way is make sure there's competition. And basically, the third one is around not knowing how to get traffic. So if you study like old link building ideas, or if you think you don't have to build any links at all, you're probably going to have an issue. Alwyn says, oh, Alex is going to be pissed about the WooCommerce. And I just don't understand WooCommerce. I don't know why it's needed at all. And people are really asking, I'm not sure if this is a set of trolls who are asking about themes. I did get a lot of trolls in the last week. So maybe I've hit some sort of threshold where that's happening, and I'm going to have to get a producer to help me out here. Andre says, what Amazon programs do I recommend? I'm not sure what that means exactly. Jonathan, I don't know about themes. Stop asking me about themes. Again, it doesn't matter. Please stop asking what theme to use. The Furman says, don't go to a page builder. Yeah, I would recommend that too. And you say, no, you're not trolling. You need a good theme. You could use like WordPress 2012 or something like that. Any theme is fine, man. Seriously, any theme's fine. All right, and we are getting into the troll section. Always fun. Boom. Okay, and Andre is asking about plugins. I actually, for the Amazon affiliate program, I actually don't recommend anything specific, right? I would suggest to you to just use the site Stripe and not add anything to it. I will tell you, Easy Azon is very popular. AAWP seems to be more modern, maybe a better tool. So AAWP, and like that potentially is a great one to use. There are other themes. A couple of my friends have themes that I will recommend, even though I keep telling you the theme doesn't matter, but obviously no one's accepting my answer on that. There's the Ultimate Azon theme. You can check that out. A new version just came out. I'm an affiliate for that. I'm not going to worry about putting an affiliate link. And the other one is Authority Azon, another friend of mine. I am an affiliate for that too. They're both good themes. They have direct Amazon API integration. So those are good themes to use. And as we're going through, Brown Dog, I didn't see it. So sorry about that. How do you find out if your niche is saturated? Might there already be profitable sites? It's hard to say if it's saturated. I don't know how to check that exactly, other than, if you see a lot of, if you see mostly niche sites in the top 10 and it looks like they're very well established, then that might be a little saturated. It would just indicate higher competition. Jonathan, thanks. Hopefully we're all good. Appreciate the comments there. Carl is saying you're doing a Skype chat with Alex soon. He's interested in seeing your website. Cool. Very cool. Furman said you just bought AAWP today. Yeah, it looks really cool. Someone's asking, Mun is asking about Mun is asking about what keyword research I use, and currently I'm using like Keyword CAG. It seems to be the cheapest one out there. and reasonable features. Any of them are fine though. Wyoming says if the top ranked post on the keyword is 3,000 words and you write 8,000 words, is it an automatic top rank? No. So basically, it is not an automatic top rank. It will probably help a lot, but you have to have other stuff going on. Alwayn is asking me if I'm planning on doing Amazon FBA. Nope, I am not. I have low to zero interest in it. And, it was very big for a while and it seems like, not a worthwhile thing. For me, it's very capital intensive and it's a lot of logistics and managing a, you know, just the supply chain overall. Alrighty. And it did look like we're actually getting the trolls in here. Any last minute questions? This should probably bring out the troll questions. And this means probably need to have a producer helping me out in the chat. It also means I guess I'm getting enough people on here or somehow pissed off the right folks to send trolls my way. So pretty fun on that front. Very cool. Any last minute questions? And I didn't push it too hard, but Five Figure Niche site is open for enrollment this week. And if you're interested, please check it out. There's a link in the description. And Nick, great question. Have I ever had issues with malware? Not personally, but I've had friends have issues. You think you've resolved it with a malware scanner. So for me, I'm not sure the mechanism in which a lot of people get hacked like that, but I use a couple security tools based on one of them is through Jetpack, which is like a WordPress plugin put out by Automatic. Automatic is a parent company of WordPress. And it just limits like login attempts. So like brute force, it doesn't allow brute force attacks. And then I have, I think at least on one of my hosting accounts, I have sort of higher end hosting so that I'm able to, there's like a malware scanner like you're talking about. I'm not sure if that's on my lower end hosting, but I do have a malware scanner that seems to work well. FM Scout says you need to start over. So as far as WordPress security, those are kind of the two mechanisms that I have. The one other, I forget the name. I always forget the name, but it changes your login page. So if you hide your login page, then your just people trying to hack your site is way lower because they don't know where to actually log in. I think it's, again, I always forget the name. Someone is probably going to mention it. Furman UK says Scurry is good for malware. WordFence is decent for security. Yeah, good suggestions. I just have like these, two plugins that seem to work well in conjunction with each other. And knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. I do recommend that you back up your site. So do off server backups, whether you use a free plugin or you use a service like Managed WP. I use Managed WP. It's only like $2 per month per site, and they like handle the backups for you. Wyoming says, is link building necessary? The income school guys say that writing top quality is all that matters. I think if you ask them deeper, they will say that link building does matter. They do say that you don't need to in some portions. And I did an interview with them and they did an interview with me. And, we had a little, discussion about it. So not building links can work, but if you do build links, that works better. And I'm pretty sure they would agree with that. The Furman says, do I enable commenting. Yep, I do. There's a couple plugins you can use that help prevent spam. How hard or easy is it to set up a WP? I don't know. I've never used it before. Unsure on that. And Kevin, I think it's probably straightforward though. I've never used it, but I think it's probably pretty easy to set up. Okay. Any last minute questions? I got to get out of here. Oscar says, it depends on the products and niche, but what range of keyword volume equals what amount of revenue? I don't know. That's impossible to answer. No clue. As far as the criteria for keywords, I suggest, Oscar, I have a video completely on like this topic, and I may be able to search for it. Actually, go to my channel, look for keyword research. I think that is probably where you'll find it. I think about 5 weeks ago, I did a presentation and I went over it. But generally, it's hard to say. There's too many factors. It doesn't really it's not a matter of the keyword volume. It's a matter of like where the keywords rank. Toki says, am I adverse to using a plugin for Amazon links that use short codes? Personally, yeah. I mean, I try not to use plugins just if I can not use plugins. If you want to, though, that is totally up to you. But for me, I'd rather have fewer plugins just in general. Nerve is asking, what's the best keyword research method besides keyword golden ratio? I don't know of other methods that you're talking about, so I'm not sure. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good session today. And, as far as keyword research, again, I would recommend you just find someone that you like, who knows what they're talking about, and then follow their method. I think the keyword golden ratio is very unique. That's why, even a lot of other people are just, covering it and talking about it because it works and it's a unique data-driven way to do it. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks, folks, and we'll see you on Friday. Take it easy.